What if I told you that your brain can miss something huge, even if it's standing right in front of you? Scientists proved it, and the results will shock you. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a mind blowing experiment to how your brain actually works and what this means to you on your spiritual journey. Hi, my name is Bethel, and I love to give practical tips to assist people along their spiritual journey so that they can live a life of bliss, love, and freedom that they desire. Daniel Simons and Daniel Levin wanted to understand how our brains work in regards to how we perceive the world. So they took on this one study. In this study, a pedestrian is stopped and asked for direction. During the conversation, they are interrupted with two people carrying a large door. At that time, the researcher is swapped with another person of the same gender and similar clothing. It may be somebody who has a different build, a different height, different facial features, but the thing that is constant is it's the same gender with similar clothing. And what they determined after the door had completely passed is that the pedestrian continued to give instructions on how to get to the place that was requested and didn't even notice the swap was made 50% of the time. This phenomenon, called change blindness, shows how our brain prioritizes our information. In our prefrontal cortex, we have the reticular activating system, which is a subconscious process designed to filter out things that are of no concern for you so you can focus on what you and your brain deem important. During the study, the person giving instructions was focused on giving the instructions. So all the external stuff, like exactly what the person looked like, our their brains were filtering out. They did the study enough to show that even when the change was massive, like the person was incredibly thin at the beginning and incredibly overweight during the switch, the person 50% of the time did not notice the switch. So, how can we apply this knowledge of change blindness that this study shows into our personal life, into our spiritual growth? What are some blind spots that you might have? What are you so focused on or hyper focused on that you might be missing all around you? I know that there was a time in my life where I had decided that I was going to go back to work. And I became incredibly focused on doing meditations and setting up different things in my life to create this particular job that I was looking for. And the desire behind going back to work was so I could spend not only quality time with my children, but that we could travel and do things that cost extra money. I was so hyper focused thinking that the only way that I could do that kind of stuff with my kids was if I could get this job. That I was missing out on the every day-to-day things that being a mom really meant to me, like playing a board game with them, reading them a book, singing them a song, or just being silly in the living room with them. Are there areas in your life where you might be missing the big picture like I was? A great thing to do is to start journaling about the different aspects of your life that you feel are not working for you. And then ask yourself, is there another way to look at this? Am I missing something? What are my true intentions? Is that really true? I know for a long time I believed I was unlovable. But was that true? I had told myself so much that I thought it was true. And boy, was it so wonderful to believe and to experience and to accept that I am lovable. Do you have areas in your life or old stories that you tell yourself that might not be true? Another study that was done where there were 4 people around a square table, and the researcher put in the middle of them a big piece of white paper with a figure drawn on it. Depending on what side of the table you were standing at, that figure looked like something else. One side said that the figure looked like a number 3. The other side says that the number looked like the letter M. Another person said it looked like the letter E. And another person said it looked like the letter W. Were they wrong? Absolutely not. It was all depending on how they were looking at it. If you wanted to see it differently, all you had to do was shift your perception and where you were standing. Journaling helps you to shift that perception. Change where you're standing. Look at the things in your life differently. Be willing and open to things you'd never thought about to assist you in creating a different story. Another thing, when we are so hyper-focused on one thing and our reticular activating system is only wanting to give directions and missing everything else around, you can train it to start seeing the whole big picture by sitting quietly, maybe 5 minutes every day, and just breathing in your surroundings. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you feel? And just look at it with no judgments, no assumptions, and allow what comes. Practicing mindfulness and living in the now is an incredibly great way to make sure you're not missing something else because you're so focused on another thing. Before you move on in life or move on into a different pathway, always ask yourself, is there something I'm missing? Is there something I'm not seeing? Could this particular situation be seen or viewed a different way? Just make it a habit. Approach life as always being a learner, always seeking the next answer, and always looking for new perspectives, because there are millions of different perspectives. Mine isn't the only one. Yours isn't the only one. We are all individuals seeing things differently through our own brains and our own filters. And there is always something that can be learned. Listening and talking to other people and hearing their perspectives are a great way to expand you and being more loving and accepting, and maybe even allowing the change that you've been looking for into your life, because somebody else might open your brain to see what was right there that you had been missing all along. The open door study shows us that perception isn't always reality. But when we open our eyes, we can start to see the change that really matters. Have you experienced something that you've completely missed because of being focused on something else? Go ahead and share it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it. If this video resonated with you and you haven't already done so, please go ahead and hit the like button. Maybe there's somebody else that could benefit from this message. Please share the video and don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, friends, I believe in you. I love you. Much peace and bliss. Namaste.